Hey boys and girls, today I'm going to read the book called Clark the Shark. This is the title page for Clark the Shark. The title page tells us the title of the story, who the story is written by, and illustrated by. This would be the back cover of the story, and this is the spine of the book. Just like we have a spine, books have spines. Alright, so before we begin reading Clark the Shark, what do you think it would be like if sharks went to school? Yes.
I think it would be very scary because I don't want them to eat me.
Scary? What else?
I think it would be very scary too.
Yes, it would be very scary. You are right.
And exciting.
Oh, exciting. Okay. All right, well, let's get started reading Clark the Shark. All right. In all the wide blue seas and all the wide blue world, the top school for fish was Theodore Rooster Fish Elementary. And of all the fish at Theodore Rooster Fish, the biggest and the strongest was Clark the Shark. Clark loved school, and he loved his teacher, Miss Inky Dink. He loved to play upsy-downsy and spin-a-majig with his friends. Clark loved his life. School is awesome, shouted Clark the Shark. Less shouting and more reading, Miss Inky Dink. Lunchtime is sweet, yelled Clark the Shark. Munch your own lunch, said his best friend Joey Mackerel. Recess rocks, bellowed Clark the Shark. You are playing rough, Clark, cried the other kids. We're going to pause here for a minute. All right, so in this page, it talks about how Clark is playing rough with the other kids. What does rough mean? Yes.
I think it means very hard and not being soft.
Right. So rough means not gentle or violent. So if someone's being rough and you're playing with them, someone can get hurt because they're not being gentle. That is correct. Okay. Another vocabulary word on this page is munch. Tell me what munch means. What do you think?
To eat.
To eat? Yeah, because you're munching on something.
Munching on food like we do at lunchtime.
Right, munch. So munch means to eat something with a continuous and often audible action of the jaw. So you're chewing something, munching on it. Okay, and what was the other one? Bellowed. And what would that be? Go ahead.
I think it means like to yell.
Right.
Like ah!
It's a deep, loud roar. Kind of like shouting, or how he yelled. He's doing something loudly with a loud, deep roar.
Synonyms.
Very good. All right, let's move on. Yes, Clark loved his life with all of his sharky heart, but he loved everything way too much. He was too loud. He was too wild. He was just too much shark for the other fish to handle. After a while, no one would play with Shark. No one ate lunch with him. No one sat with him at circle time. Even his best friend Joey Mackerel said, "Cool your jets, Clark. You're making me crazy." Look how Clark, he looks so sad. Why do you think that Clark's friends don't want to play with him anymore? Go ahead.
I think it's because they think he's mean because he was being super duper rough.
Okay. Why do you think Clark's friends don't want to play with him anymore?
He has too much energy.
Right. And he's being rough. So they're probably getting hurt and he's being over the top. That's correct. All right. One day, Clark asked Miss Inky Dink, "What's wrong with everyone?" Miss Inky Dink patted his fin. "Clark, sometimes you play too hard. You munch too hard, and gosh, you even help too hard. But But life is so exciting, said Clark. There's a time and a place for everything, said Miss Inky Dink, and sometimes the rule is stay cool. At recess, Clark tried to stay cool, but he pushed the swing with too much zig. Sorry, said Clark, I forgot. Yikes, cried Joey Mackerel. At lunch, Clark tried to stay cool, but everything smelled so good that he munched a bunch of lunches. Sorry, said Clark, I forgot. We're starving, said his friends. In class, Clark tried to stay cool, but a good book got him all shook up. Now, Clark, said Miss Inky Dink, this isn't the time or the place. Tell me, what's the rule? Stay cool, said Clark. Hey, that rhymes, he cried. Then Clark got a big idea in his sharky head. Maybe if I make a rhyme, I'll remember every time, he thought. The next day, he put his plan to work. So, what does Clark come up with to help him stay cool?
A rhyme!
A rhyme. He's going to rhyme. All right, let's see what his rhyme is. In class, when lessons got exciting, Clark wanted to bounce up out of his seat. Instead, he told himself, when teacher's talking, don't go walking. And what do you know? It worked. Attaboy, Clark, said Miss Inky Dink. Clark smiled. Lessons are fun. At lunch, everything smelled so yummy. When Clark wanted to eat and never stop, he told himself, only munch your own lunch. And it worked. Way to go, Clark, said his friends. Clark grinned. Lunch is fun. At playtime, Clark told himself, easy does it, that's the way. And then my friends will let me play. And playtime was fun. Once more, Clark loved his life. But then a shadow fell across the playground. A ginormous shadow with tentacles galore. It's a new kid, and he looks scary, cried Joey Mackerel. Swim for your lives! The squid squashed the slide and snapped off the swings. Oops, my bad, said the new kid. Wait, said Clark, he just wants to play. Let's find a way. And he swam at the new kid with all his might. Clark played harder than he ever had before. Upsy, downsy, and spin-em-a-jig. Why, he even made up a tail Wampa-lumpus. Wow, that was fun, said the new kid, breathless. And he settled down. If you want to come to school, you've got to stay cool, said Clark. That's a different word, breathless. What does breathless mean? What do you think breathless means?
You do not.
Out of breath.
Really hard, like.
Exactly. So it means gasping for breath, typically due to exhaustion. So that means he's tired. He was out of breath. That's right. Good job.
He was tired from all of that very hard playing.
Okay. All right. On to the next thing. That's right, Clark, said Miss Inky Dink. And thanks for taking care of our new classmate, Sid the Squid. Hooray for Clark the Shark. Everyone cheered. That's right. That night, Clark's mother asked, what did you learn at school, dear? There's a time and a place for everything, Clark said. Sometimes you stay cool. But sometimes a shark's got to do what a shark's got to do. All right, now that we have finished Clark the Shark, what would you do if you were Clark's friends? How could you help him? Yes.
You tell him a different rhyme to say in his head to remind him that there's a time and a place
Right? You could help him, remind him to stay cool, help him come up with rhymes, and kind of help him to to help him to calm down. Remind him about the rules that we need to follow. Good. And what does it mean to stay cool in different situations?
To be calm and gentle and sweet. And
Right.
to read the room.
And to read the
See if
room.
you're acting like everyone else.
Right. Ooh, I like that. That's a good one. All right. Well, that was Clark the Shark.